01. Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV.
Hi, I'm Steve-O with the Ask the Experts radio show. Join my co-host Renee and I every Friday as we interview some of the most prominent professionals in Palm Beach and Broward County. Each week we combine educational information on a variety of topics with a touch of humor and entertainment in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement so you can be more informed. We offer interviews on such topics as family law, foreclosure defense, estate planning, sleep apnea, roof repair, funeral pre-needs, mold and mildew, alcoholism addiction, and even a show that teaches you how to buy a new and used car from one of the top dealerships in South Florida. If you have a business and would like to be part of the Ask the Expert show, contact us at 954-336-3767. Position your company as an expert in your field. Call Ask the Experts radio show at 954-336-3767. Be sure to catch our show every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. or watch our show live at wwnnradio.com and click on the WWNN TV link. Hey, and we're back. I have actually been waiting for this show now for 2 or 3 weeks because we have got, I know we have the top attorney, the top law firm, elder law firm in Florida. We have with us here in studio, he's turning all red.
No, I think that's you turning red.
We have the top law firm, Elder Law Associates. We have one of the partners in with us today, Howard Crooks.
Hey, Howard. Welcome to the show.
It's nice to be here.
Howard Crooks, and your attorney?
I love it. I think that's great.
You know, there's not a day that goes by that I don't meet
I'm sure
a client
everybody says that
who
to
wants
you
to know,
about that,
did you ever
yes.
think about changing your name?
No, I think it's actually,
and you know what?
I like it.
If you want to watch today's show right now live, you can go to www.wwnnradio.com.
You could shorten that and just say WWNN. It's easier that way.
Easier?
Yeah, because people get confused. WWW. It just sounds ridiculous.
Okay.
WWNN TV.
Put it on the list.
Okay.
Okay, so when you go to the homepage, you just click on WWNN
Yes.
TV. Click here.
And voila, there we are.
Watch us. Okay. We have got so many questions for you because we are in the mecca of elderly senior citizens here in South Florida. You must be busy
Inundated.
24/7.
Yes.
We are.
Because there's so many things.
There are a lot of issues that seniors and people with disabilities face, and there's no one place where you can go to get all the information that you need. It's a very daunting prospect when you're faced with important decisions that affect your lives. People who are losing their independence, emotional issues tied up with family members losing independence, possible placement in a facility, lots of difficult issues that have to be dealt with. And then on top of all of that, we have to talk about how do we pay for all of these things and
Yes.
needed services. So it's a lot of difficult issues all at once.
So what are the different areas of law that you practice? Because I don't know if people actually understand what elder law is.
Sure. So elder law is really an amalgam of a lot of different areas of law all rolled up into one. You have to wear a lot of different hats and
Yes.
be knowledgeable in a lot of different subspecialty areas in order to best represent your clients. So we may have to be familiar with government benefits rules and regulations, tax laws, real estate laws, probate laws, guardianship laws,
Medicaid,
Medicare, Social Security. It goes on and on and on. And if you are not working with somebody who immerses themselves in the area of elder law and special needs planning, so if you see a laundry list of criminal law, bankruptcy,
Right, you see
a whole general practice of
You want
personal
somebody that
injury law,
specializes in that.
that's really not gonna well serve you. You really want to see somebody that only does elder law and special needs planning, because I do it not just in Florida but in New York as well.
So you're
I was gonna
licensed in
say
both
that.
states.
And I
Yes.
practice in both states, but that's all I do.
That's big because especially there's so many
Snowbirds,
snowbirds
right.
here. So that's huge.
Yeah, and it's very helpful, I find, because if you have the kids up in New York and the parents are down here, or even sometimes it's vice versa.
Yes.
The services that you can access under Medicaid are different in each state, and the rules are different, and the planning is different. So sometimes they may have the discretion to say, well, we might be able to access in New York, or we might want to go into Florida, but which one's better? Where are we going to get better services?
Probably charge you twice, one for New York and one for Florida.
Well, and that's really the nice thing, though, is that
Your firm, you don't have that.
if you don't know that there's somebody out there who can bring knowledge of both states into the discussion,
that's great,
You
yeah.
have to see somebody in one state and somebody in
So
the
you
other
pay
state.
2 attorney fees.
And then, but it's even more than that, though, because then you have to figure out, how do I reconcile the information I got from the one attorney with the other, and how do I get them to talk to each other and figure out collectively what is the best way to go?
Well, you don't have to if you go to your law firm.
Correct.
Because you cover both states, which is perfect.
And since we're talking about your firm, you have a partner, Ellen Morris.
I do.
Give us a little background on Ellen also.
Sure. Well, Ellen, her practice area is a little bit different than mine. Mine focuses on more of the transactional planning type of work. Ellen is a litigator by trade. She served for 5 years under then State Attorney General Janet Reno.
Wow, that's huge.
Her comfort zone is in the courtroom. So any type of trust or estate litigation, family conflicts, abuse of power of attorney, any type of litigation involving family members and assets and who should get what, and if there's a fiduciary involved, like a trustee, an agent under a power of attorney, a personal representative of an estate, she handles that stuff. And I got to tell you something, and I don't say this lightly, you don't want to be on the other side of Ellen Morris.
I love it. I think that's great.
Listen, I read where you're a member of the Joint Public Policy Task Force of the Florida Bar Elder Law. That's impressive, bro.
Well, that's something that actually Ellen is the chair of that task force. And
Oh, he's got some pull then.
the thing about the task force is we do some really good stuff. The task force is a group of attorneys throughout the state who get together on a phone call every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. We talk about the issues that are percolating within Medicaid or within the area of elder law and special needs planning. It could be Florida legislative issues, it could be legislative issues at the national level, things that will affect our clients in a significant way.
Things change on a daily basis. Things
All
happen.
the time.
I know.
We never run out of things to talk about on
I'm
these
sure you
calls.
don't.
And if there are issues that will affect our clients, this task force will take action. We have a lobbyist, we have an administrative law attorney. If we have to file rule challenges with Medicaid, we can do
And
that.
you have a Medicaid specialist as well in your office.
We do. We have a former Medicaid caseworker who processes many of the veterans benefits and Medicaid applications that we file for our clients.
Basically, their law firm is protecting some of the state's most vulnerable people in the state.
Well, children with disabilities as well as elderly. I mean,
Sure.
from
And
the full gamut.
we can talk a little bit about planning for children with special needs.
Yes, because I told you that I just went through this myself, and I did it. I should have gone to you because I did this on my own. And
People
let me
need to
tell
know
you,
this.
let me tell you, it was the most difficult process that and the most emotional process I've ever gone through, because I have a child with special needs, and I did not know till I went into a meeting at school that when she turned 18, that I had no rights to find out anything from the school, as well as make any medical decisions for my child.
Well, this is
I was in shock.
This is a really important point, and not
very important.
even limited to planning for children with special needs. It becomes, I think, more critical for that in that scenario. But even taking a situation where you have a child who's leaving the home for the first time and going away to college, parents don't even realize they don't have a right to get their child's grades. The child gets the grades. And the parents may be paying the tuition, but the school doesn't care.
Well,
and
unless,
if
you sign a special form at the
you
school.
have to sign something.
Right.
Or, and God forbid, if there was an accident or a tragedy and the child became incapacitated, if you don't have advanced directives in place for that child who's now over 18, you don't necessarily have decision-making authority over that child or the ability to deal with financial transactions.
Well, because they're considered adults.
They're adults,
Right.
and they have to sign legal documents appointing the parent to take over if they become incapacitated. Nobody thinks about that as a
No.
child's turning 18, because for 18 years you were the parent and you were the natural guardian, and by law you could make those decisions.
So you handle it as well.
All of those advanced directive documents we handle in our office.
And with a lot of children now going off to college, I mean, that's an important thing right now.
It is. It's something that nobody really would ever want to think about, because somebody who's 18 years old. But the reality is, when you go away to school, there are unfortunate tragedies that occur, whether it be through
You're
automobiles or falling off balconies or things that are unexpected and not on anybody's radar screen. These are important documents to have in place.
Absolutely. So getting back to the guardianships for children with disabilities, my daughter almost turned 18. So it takes a while to go through the court process to even do this. So explain to people, because being a mother with a child with a disability, you think that since they have a disability, that you wouldn't even have to worry about them becoming adults and not having to be able to make medical decisions or academic decisions or anything. It's like the state takes over. So tell people about guardianships and the process of that versus, well, I have guardian advocacy
Right.
for my daughter. And so tell everybody about the two different types of guardianships.
Okay, so there are two types. One is guardianship advocacy, and it's a sort of a streamlined version of the guardianship. It's not a full-blown, but it gives you all that you really would need to in terms of being able to make decisions for somebody who just turned 18. It's designed to allow people to access the guardianship courts in a more streamlined and less costly way. In a full-blown guardianship, there is something called an examining committee, which is a committee of 3 individuals in the medical field who have to conduct an assessment of the individual and make a recommendation to the court as to whether or not this person is incapacitated and in need of a guardian. And it's just a more drawn-out and more costly process, that if you can avoid it, you should probably go for the guardian advocacy if you can.
Well, the court still sent down an attorney for my daughter. They actually
Well,
called
the
me and said, I want to
attorney-
meet with my client.
Right. The attorney is going to happen in every case,
Right.
even in guardianship advocacy. That's by Florida law. So people need to understand that when you bring guardianship, there are a bunch of costs involved. Not only the legal fees involved in hiring the lawyer to represent you and file all the court papers, but the examining committee in the full-blown guardianship that I refer to, along with the appointment of an attorney to represent the person who is alleged to be incapacitated and for whom a guardian needs to be appointed.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. It was so overwhelming for me, because all of a sudden an attorney's coming into my house and checking me out, and I have to go for a background test and, fingerprinting, and
Yes.
there's also classes that you have to take. I mean, people are not
You have
even
to
aware
become
of this.
certified.
You have to become a certified guardian as
Yes, and this is the point here, is that if you plan in advance and you sign the advance directives, and you have somebody who's with capacity, therefore they're able to sign these directives, it's far less costly, and you don't have to open up all of your family information and financial records
You're
to
talking
the
about for the
court.
advocacy.
For any guardianship.
Oh, for any okay.
So if you do the advance directives, it's a private transaction with the lawyer in the privacy of the lawyer's office, let's say. But if you do guardianship, you're involving a court, you're involving another attorney, you're involving, in some cases, an examining committee who comes into your home. All of a sudden, all your private lives have become open to the public.
And then you have to also submit reports each year,
And that's
and
another
accounting reports.
another cost. You have to submit a plan,
Right.
which sets out for the court
Hello, did that
how's the-
myself. Never
what-
again.
What
I'd
is
never
the plan
do that.
for caregiving and all that? And then you have to submit an accounting. You have to account for every
Every
penny
cent. Yep.
that you marshaled, that the money that you took control over, and you have to do that in the case of a guardianship. You don't necessarily have to do that if you have power of attorney.
So let me tell you, people, if you're filing for a guardianship or a guardian advocacy, don't do it alone, because it was the most stressful thing I've ever done in my entire life. I would never do it again myself. I mean, I accomplished my goal and got the advocacy, but I had to go up against my daughter's attorney, which was so strange, really. I mean, it was just so horrific.
So how far in advance should people start planning this? Say if you have an 18-year-old, you do it when they're 17, 16?
Well, that's a great question. When they're 16 or 17, they're not allowed by law to sign these documents. So on their 18th birthday is when you should have a little sit down with them, and that's when they can sign the documents. Again, assuming that they have the capacity to do so.
And what happens if they don't? Like in my daughter's case, she wasn't able to sign
Right.
it.
And so you had no choice.
Right.
You had to get guardianship advocacy in place and go through that process, because that is the legal way, and it's the law's way of addressing a situation where somebody turns of majority age but they don't have capacity presently. The only way that you can gain the authority to make legal decisions for them is through the guardianship process. So you couldn't sit down at age 18 and do that.
No.
You had to do what you did. But it might make sense maybe a couple of months before the 18th birthday to consult with the lawyer, get the papers drafted,
Exactly.
get them filed so that the hearing can occur on or about the 18th birthday. And when the 18th birthday hits, you already
You
have, your
everything in
court
place
papers
instead
in
of being-
place.
Exactly, because God forbid something happens medically and they turn 18, you have no say.
None.
None whatsoever. And that goes into power of attorney. So tell everybody about having power of attorney. And you can't have that if you have a child with disability, because they have to sign over the power of attorney. Is that correct?
It'll depend on the nature of the disability. If it's a cognitive impairment and they don't have mental capacity, then they have to do what you did with your child. You'd have to go through guardianship. If it's a physical impairment, but they have mental capacity, those individuals
That's
will be
totally
able to
different, right,
sign
exactly.
advance directives, and they should. Now, the power of attorney is a document that enables somebody else to handle all of your financial transactions. And it is a document that, if it is properly drafted by somebody who knows what they're doing, you're going to have the broadest possible authority to handle a myriad of situations that could present themselves. If it is not somebody who's well versed in this area, you might find that it's a fairly simple, straightforward form that doesn't contemplate enough of the different scenarios that can present themselves, and that's not going to be to your benefit, because there are third parties out there to whom you will present this document. And if they review it and say to you, well, we don't see that you have the authority to do X, Y, Z in this document, we're not going to allow this transaction to go forward, you're going to feel strapped, you're going to feel handcuffed, and you're going to wonder, why did I have a power of attorney, conceivably even drafted by a lawyer, but maybe not somebody who does this, when I now can't get it honored by a third party? This is not serving me well. I want the best power of attorney I can get.
Right.
So what is the difference in what you do as an elder lawyer and a family lawyer?
Sure. So there's a variety of disciplines that are sort of on the periphery of what I do. Family law really deals more with child custody issues, marital issues, separation issues, division of asset issues when you have a dissolution of marriage and things of that, adoption. Those are the kinds of issues that a family law attorney deals with. They're not dealing with planning for disability. They're not dealing with planning for nursing home placement or assisted living placement, and how do we preserve assets, and how do we qualify for Medicaid. Those issues just are not under the family law umbrella. Similarly, they're not necessarily under the estate planning umbrella. If you go to an attorney who says that they are an estate planning attorney, you have to question whether or not they are specializing in working with the elderly and people with disabilities, because
Which
if they're
is
not,
really important.
estate planning is its own distinct area of the law that actually, if you look at, you remember the Venn diagrams? If you look at a Venn diagram, estate planning is a subset of elder law, because I do estate planning.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily the case that an estate planner does elder law and disability planning, but it is the case that an elder law attorney will do estate planning.
And we're going to get in next month. We're going to get in with Howard about estate planning. Now,
Why don't we
first-
take a break and
no,
we'll come back?
We're
Or-
not. No,
we're
'cause
not taking a break.
No,
Okay.
No, because we have so much.
You have
of
so
it.
many questions. We can't take a break.
But I do want to tell everybody your phone number if they'd like to call and make an appointment with you.
Sure. So it's 561-750-3850.
And you have offices not only in Boca, but you have offices in other cities also.
Yeah, we decided that in order to be able to address people's needs as far and wide as we could, We have an office up north in West Palm Beach, and we also have an office, our main office in Boca, and then we have an office in Weston to service the Fort Lauderdale area.
So you cover Broward and Palm Beach counties.
And we have Aventura, so northern Miami. And this way, if we have clients that are in areas that would be more accessible to the client if they met us in one of our satellite office, we can address those
Because we have a
concerns
lot
as well.
of listeners in Broward. A lot
We
of
do,
listeners in
yeah.
Broward. And we also have listeners in Martin County, too. So they could come down to the Palm Beach office.
We've had people who come down from areas as far north as Stewart and Jupiter, and they'll come meet us in our West Palm Beach office.
Now, I'm going to tell you something interesting. If you would like to watch today's show, you can actually go to Howard's website. It's www.elderlaw.
www.elderlawassociates.com.
Yeah, you can just go, and even after the show, if you want to go back and take some notes, you can go back and watch the show. That's one of the things that we like bringing to you.
And
Yeah, I mean,
while
this
we're
is
on
a-
the
go ahead.
topic of the website, let me just say that we have designed, Ellen and I, a website that is chock full of substantive information about elder law and special needs planning. So if you're
It's such
looking
a-
for information,
Yes.
it's a really substantive site full of
It is.
articles.
I actually looked at it
I did too.
myself.
You've got a wonderful website.
Excellent. Let me tell you something, and I learned a lot from your website. I wish I would have found it before, because it would have taken the anxiety away from me. So those of you who are out there that have parents, that even pre-planning this, because I mean, especially in South Florida with, Alzheimer's and different types of, well, I mean, when people get older here, I
Right.
mean, you just want to make sure that your parents are well taken care of, and you want to pre-plan in case, God forbid, something happens.
Now, you say the word pre-plan, and I agree with you. If we can usually do more for our clients if they come in well in advance.
Instead of waiting for the last second.
But we also have what we call crisis cases. People who call us up because a loved one maybe was hospitalized, and the discharge planner at the hospital is talking about a discharge into a assisted living or nursing home. They're being told the nursing home will cost $9,000 a month, and they weren't ready for this. What do we do? Are they going to take my home? And they're just, for lack of a better term, they're freaking out.
Right, of course.
They don't know what to do, and we're able to help people in both sets of circumstances. I would add to what you said, and say that it's always better to pre-plan if you can. But if you found that you haven't, hope is not all lost. You can come in and see us, and we're able to help those people as well.
Who's your typical client?
Our typical client is anyone who is elderly, or the children of somebody who's elderly, or the parent of somebody who's disabled, who just has questions about how does it all work. I can't make sense of how does the system work. We have a long-term care system that is so complex, and as we talked about earlier, there's really no one place that you can go to figure out all of the rules and regulations. They have assets, they have long-term care needs, they have estate planning needs. They want to make sure certain kids get assets. They want to make sure that if they have a special needs child, it's not going to go outright to them. It's going to go into a special needs trust. Anybody that has questions about the long-term care system and how to access the services that are provided under government benefit programs, how to pay for those services, how to preserve some assets along the way, those are our typical clients. They have a home, they have some financial assets, and they are concerned about the complete exhaustion of their entire assets because of the need for long-term care.
That's why they need to come see you. So give your phone number out once
Yes.
again.
Sure, it's 561-750-3850.
And your website address?
www.elderlawassociates.com.
And real quickly, you do a seminar. I think it's actually Robin who does a seminar.
Yes, so my
every
wife
month.
is a graphic designer by trade, and
Very good, too.
probably
I see that.
More genius than the Apple geniuses. In fact, she's gone into Apple sometimes, and they couldn't figure something out, and she says, "Here, give it to me," and she does it, and then you can see their eyebrows raised, and whoa, she's good. She conducts seminars at facilities, and she teaches the seniors how to set up Google accounts and how to email their grandchildren and how to use iPads, and they love it.
So
Very
you can
cool.
call her at 561-750-3850 to get more information. Bro, this went by
Went
so fast.
No commercials, straight through.
We had pages and pages of notes still. I can't
See,
wait
I
for
was
the
so
next
happy
show.
to have them because this is a very personal topic to me. So I was so happy that you were coming in studio with us today.
And we have so many more areas to go in.
Absolutely.
Howard's going to be with us every month with our Elder Law Show. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks,
it's just
Howard.
been
Thank
so,
you. It's been
I know
great.
we've both been so educated. That's what the show is about.
Yes.
So thanks for listening today. Without you, there is no us. Peace and love, everybody.
We're out.
We'll see you next Friday.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert Show with Steve-O and Renee. Tune in every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Talk 1470 WWNN.